Good morning everyone. Am I audible? Okay. In this session we are discussing about the structure of hyaline cartilage along with the examples. Okay. So what do you mean by hyaline cartilage? What do you mean by cartilage at least? Have you learned about it before anywhere? Cartilage? Okay, it's a semi-solid bone. Okay, fine. Any other answers? Your friend said it is a semi-solid bone. Any other answers? Okay, before starting with the hyaline cartilage, first we will discuss few basic points for the cartilage. Okay, remember? Your cartilage is nothing but a specialized connective tissue. Okay, your cartilage is a specialized connective tissue. So what do you mean by connective tissue? And what is the function of connective tissue? What was the last lecture class topic? Okay. Okay. So the moment I mention the word connective tissue, you should remember it is meant to provide you the structural support. Okay. It provides structural support. Okay. The other characteristics features of cartilages are it is semi-rigid. Okay. It is also semi-transparent. Your cartilages are generally elastic in nature and they are also very flexible. So these are few very basic points you should remember about the cartilages. Cartilages are generally the specialized connective tissues which are meant to provide the structural support. They are also semi-rigid and semi-transparent and it is flexible and elastic in nature. Okay. So what is the type of cells we can see in the cartilages? What type of cells we can see in the cartilage? It is chondrocytes. Sorry. It is called chondrocytes. In few textbook it is also mentioned as chondroblasts. Okay, you can use the both words, chondrocytes or chondroblasts. Any other basic points you should remember about the cartilage? Your cartilage is mainly avascular and aneural in nature. So what do you mean by avascular and aneural? Okay, avascular means there is no blood supply. What do you mean by aneural? Absence of nerve fibers or nerves, that is called aneural. So if there is no presence of blood vessels, how the cartilages will receive the required nutrients? Okay, it is a specialized connective tissue, so by the adjacent cells or tissue it will receive the required nutrients. What is that process is called? There is one particular name for that process. Yeah, it's through diffusion. Okay. So through the diffusion, your cartilages will receive the required nutrients from the adjacent or from the neighboring cells or tissues. Okay. Any doubts in this? Any doubts? So this is all about few basics point about your cartilages. Your cartilages are mainly made up of, or the components present in your cartilages are cells, which I already mentioned here, chondrocytes, okay. So it is cells. What else we can see? What else we can see? Ground substance and fibers. Okay, so these are the basic components of your cartilages: cells, ground substance and fibers. Cells we already know, it's a chondrocyte cells. What about the ground substance? Stop using your phones. What do you mean by ground substance at least? Matrix, okay. Any other answers? So ground substance basically meant for matrix. Here we have extracellular and intracellular matrix. Extracellular matrix and intracellular matrix. Okay. What about the fibers? What kind of fibers we can see here? What kind of fibers we can see here? Collagen fibers. Okay. In your cartilages, we can see the presence of collagen fibers, chondrocyte cells and extracellular and intracellular matrix. Those are nothing but the ground substance. Okay. Any other points you guys want to add for cartilage? No other points? Just any one of you please get up and start reading the points. No. Yeah. Just, brother, just pass the mic.
It provides structural support, basics and flexible cell modifies the vascular area to diffusion to resist requirements compound cells nerve structure extend in the avascular.
Any doubts in this? No doubts? Okay, then we will start with the hyaline cartilage. What do you mean by the word hyaline? What do you mean by the word hyaline? The word hyaline stands for hylo. Okay, which is nothing but glass-like appearance. So your hyaline cartilage is basically glass-like structure, okay, and transparent. And it is transparent. Okay. The ground substance present here is called as territorial matrix. It is specially called as territorial matrix. When I write the diagram, I'll explain it. And the cell structure present here is chondrocyte cells, and the fibers present here is mainly the collagen 2 fibers. Okay. It is called collagen 2 fibers. What are the other types of cartilages apart from hyaline cartilage? Can you name it? We have hyaline cartilage. Other than that, elastic cartilage, okay. Elastic cartilage, and another one is, it is fibroblast. Okay. In these two cartilages, we can see type 1 collagen fibers. Okay. Only in hyaline cartilage, we see the type 2 collagen fibers. Okay. I'll draw a simple diagram. Copy down the diagram, everybody. Now imagine this has the cell structure, or you are viewing from the microscopic view. Okay. This entire cell structure I will divide into two parts. Okay. This particular part I will name it as pericardium. This is called pericardium. Okay. And this part I can say it as central area. Okay. This upper part I will name it as pericardium, and the lower part I will call it as central part. Okay. In this pericardium again I will divide into two layers. Okay. So now this one will become the outer layer. Okay. And this one will become the inner layer. Okay. In the outer layer we can see the presence of fibers. So this is called outer fibrous layer. Okay. And in the inner layer part we can see the presence of small cells like this. Okay. So this layer is called inner cellular layer. Okay. We have pericardium. The entire pericardium is divided into two parts, outer fibrous layer and inner cellular layer. This outer fibrous layer is made up of your fibroblast cells. Okay. And the inner cellular layer is made up of differentiating cells. It is called as differentiating cells. What do you mean by differentiating cells? What is the special feature of differentiating cells? Okay. It reduces the ability to divide. It induces. Okay, they have the ability to divide. That's what you are telling. They lose the ability. Okay. Differentiating cells lose the ability to divide. Okay. Any other points?
Specialized.
They are specialized cells. Okay. Any other points? Take differentiating cell as an assignment question. Write it as a 3-mark question and submit it in next class. Okay. Very basic points you have to mention here. Just write a note on differentiating cell as a 3-mark question. That's it. Okay. Write it in a separate sheet, bring it. Okay, I'll collect it. Fine. Next we will move to the central part. Okay. In the central part we can see a small structures. Like this. Stop talking. Okay. In the entire central part we can see small structures like this present in a group of 2 or more. It's always present in a group of 2 or more. These structures are called lacunae. These are called lacunae. Lacunae, Lacuane. Okay. Inside the lacunae we can see the presence of nucleus like this. Okay. These are called as chondrocytes or chondroblasts. Okay. So now these two structures together called as cell nest. Cell nest. It is present like this. Okay, in the central area we can see a small cell-like structure present. that is called lacunae. Inside the lacunae we can see the presence of chondrocyte cells. These two structures together called as a cell nest. It appear like this in your microscopic way. Okay. So between these we have a small gap here. Can you see this area? This area is called as territorial matrix. This is called as territorial matrix. Okay. So now between the two cell nest we can see the presence of here in this area. Okay. Like this. This matrix is called as interterritorial matrix. These are called as interterritorial matrix, or it is also called as interstitial matrix. Interstitial matrix also. In few textbook it is mentioned as interstitial. So this is your old structure of the hyaline cartilage. You have to use your H&D pencils while drawing these diagrams. Okay, not the regular pencils. You have to use your H&D pencils. So any doubts in the structure? No doubts? Everyone understood? Any doubts in this structure? No doubts? Sure? So what are the structures or cells we can see inside the hyaline cartilage? We mainly divide it into two parts, pericardium part and central part. Okay. In the pericardium part we have two layers, outer fibrous layer made up of fibroblasts cells and inner cellular layer made up of differentiating cells. In the central area we can see the presence of lacunae. Inside the lacunae there is a presence of chondrocyte cells. So together we name it as cell nest. Okay. So inside the cell nest we can see the presence of territorial matrix. Between the two cell nest we can see the presence of interterritorial matrix or interstitial matrix. This is all about the structure of hyaline cartilage. Very basic and very easy concept. Okay. This topic is generally from, this is from general histology. So you don't have to worry about writing 1 or 2 pages of answers. When it comes to general anatomy and general embryology, general histology, you should be thorough with the concept. Okay. So any doubts in this you can ask me now. Know the structure of hyaline cartilage. The topic, today's topic was structure of hyaline cartilage along with examples. So the next topic is examples, that means where we can find these cells in a body. So any idea where we can see hyaline cartilage in our body? Nose, okay. Ears, okay. Ribs, okay. We can see the presence of hyaline cartilage in our nose, ears and ribs. Any other answers? In joints. Which joint? Knee joint. Okay, knee joint. Say it louder guys, otherwise I can't hear. So now everybody can draw the diagram and write answer for the question. Structure of hyaline cartilage. Sure? Okay. Perichondrium. Did I write cardium? No. Wait. It's perichondrium, guys. Sorry. Sorry. If anybody has written it has or taken note as pericardium, please change it to perichondrium. I'm sorry. Any doubts? Again I'm asking, any doubts in this? No doubts? Just read the slide.
Cartilage is considered to be a specialized connective tissue. It resembles ordinary connective tissue in the cell. In it are widely separated by considerable amount of extracellular matrix. Cartilage differs from typical connective tissue mainly in the nature of the ground substance. Three main types of cartilage can be recognized depending on the number and variety of
little bit
fibers.
difficulty seeing the writing. It's like small, very small for
From next class, I'll write.
Sure, thank you.
So your cartilage is a specialized connective tissue. We can see the presence of extracellular matrix and also the ground substance. The three main types of cartilages are hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage and fibrocartilage. So on what basis we divide them into hyaline, elastic and fibrocartilage? Any idea? Elasticity, okay. Different cell structure, fine. Any other answers? Based on the location, okay. So these three categories are made up mainly based on the quantity of your extracellular matrix presence, okay. In the fibrocartilage, we can see the presence of extracellular matrix in a very low quantity. In hyaline cartilage, it is like average, and in elastic cartilage, we can see the highest amount of your extracellular matrix. That is the very basic concept for the division, okay. As you mentioned, even the cell structure, ground substance and also the location also matters, okay. Next one. Next.
Components of cartilage. Like ordinary connective tissue, cartilage is made up of cells, chondrocytes, ground substance, intercellular, extracellular matrix, and fibers, which is collagen fibers.
Next.
Cartilage cells. The cells of cartilage are called chondrocytes. They lie in spaces or lacunae present in the matrix. Some authorities use the term chondroblasts for these cells. This term is used mainly for embryonic cartilage producing cells. As the cartilage cells mature, they enlarge, often reaching a diameter of 40 micrometer or more. The cytoplasm of chondrocytes may also contain glycogen and glucose.
Okay. And remember one more important point, your cartilages will generally have very thin wall, okay. Since there is no presence of any blood vessels or nerve fibers and all the nutrients should be supplied through the diffusion process, the walls of the cartilages should be very thin. So it is around 2 to 4 mm, okay. In general, it is around 2 to 4 mm. Next.
Ground substance. The ground substance of cartilage is made up of complex molecules containing proteins and carbohydrates, proteoglycans. The carbohydrates are typically glycosaminoglycans. Along with the water content, these molecules form a firm gel that gives cartilage its firm consistency.
Take down all the 3 points, write it down, everyone. Second point is MCQ question. You might get that question in Viva also. So note it down, it's an MCQ question. Second point. Okay, next.
Collagen fibers in cartilage. The collagen fibers is cartilage are simultaneously seen from those most other tissues. They describe the site to collagen. Fiber production perichondrium can be denominated on the collagen.
So here the fiber present is mainly the collagen, type 2 collagen, whereas in your elastic cartilage and also in fibroblast we can see the type 1, okay. Next.
Hyaline cartilage. Hyaline cartilage is so called because it is transparent. Hyalos means glass. Hyaline cartilage has been compared to a tire. The ground substance corresponding to the rubber of the tire resists compressive forces, while the collagen fibers corresponding to the threads of the tire resist tensional forces. In hemotoxylin and eosin stained preparations, the matrix is stained blue, that is, it is basophilic. However, the matrix just under the perichondrium is acidophilic.
Okay. So as I mentioned, hylose means glass. Okay. So your hyaline cartilage is basically transparent in structure. And concentrate on the last point. Here I have mentioned H&D pencils, right? I said you have to draw the diagram using your H&D pencils. That is the stain name, hematoxylin and eosin stains. That is the very commonly used stain in your histology slides. Okay. They'll give introduction class for that. Later you will get to know. Just right now try to take the names. Just write it as hematoxylin and eosin stain. That's it. Okay, next.
Towards the center of the mass of hyaline cartilage, chondrocytes are large and are usually present in groups of two groups. The groups are formed by diffusion from a single parent cell. The groups of cartilage cells are called cell nest or isogenous cell groups. The deep staining matrix is newly formed and is called the territorial matrix and lacunar capsule. In contrast, the pale staining matrix separating cell nest is the interstitial matrix.
Okay. As I mentioned, your lacunae are present as a group of 2 or more cells always, okay? And these cells are divided by a single parent cell. That's why it is present in a cell nest manner. And it is also called as isogenous cell groups, okay? In the cell nest, we can see the presence of territorial matrix, which is also called as lacunar capsule, and the matrix that present between two cell nests are called as interstitial matrix or interterritorial matrix. Okay, distribution of hyaline cartilage, that is nothing but example or where we can see the presence of hyaline cartilage. So can anybody answer that question once again in detail? Distribution of hyaline cartilage. Start reading your answers first table. Give it to your friend only. Give it to him. Let him read. Others, stop writing. Stop writing and listen.
Ma'am, I would say just take the names and location.
Yes.
That's it. First, for distribution of hyaline cartilage, articular cartilage in joints, the locations are covered in the ends of long bones and synovial joints. An example like knees, shoulder, and hips. Second is posterior cartilage, location connects the ribs to the sternum, like breastbone. Respiratory structures. And nostril cartilage, the locations are of course in the external nose, forms a part of the external nose, and epithelial plates that are found in the growing ends of long bones in children. Then embryonic skeleton, locations for much of the fetal skeleton is originally in hyaline cartilage. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
So while writing answer or while discussing about distribution of hyaline cartilage, you have to remember two important points. Your hyaline cartilage is mainly present at the end of the long bone. Okay, this is like very basic. Your hyaline cartilage can be mainly seen in the end of the long bone, and the other one important point is your hyaline cartilage is abundantly present in fetal stage. Okay, these are the two important or two very basic points for distribution of hyaline cartilage. Okay, next. This is the photograph of your microscopic view. Can you see the diagram and identify the structures? This is like handwritten diagram and this is photograph through the microscopic view. This is your handwritten diagram. This is how you should write in your record and also in your exams. Okay, this is your histology diagram of hyaline cartilage. Then you have to name the structures and write at least 4 or 5 very basic or important points for this. That's it about hyaline cartilage. So can anybody identify the structures? Can you identify the structures in this? Please come on the stage and do it. Anyone? They have written the numbers, just check it once. 1, 2, 3, 4 is there. So help your friends. What is that first structure? It is called lacunae. Okay. Can you both point where is the lacunae? The very first structure. So the very first structure what you are seeing there is lacunae, the number 1. Okay. And what about the second one? Cell nest. Sure. The second one is cell nest. Okay. What about the third one? Territorial matrix. Okay. I think third one is interterritorial matrix, interstitial matrix. Fourth one is like perichondrium part. Okay. The fourth part is perichondrium part. There you can see the little difference, like 2 layers if you observe carefully. Okay. Go to the next one. Okay. Here the A, where they have mentioned A, no, here. This one. This entire part is perichondrium part. Okay. And this from here to here, this is your central part. Okay. Can you identify the structures now at least? Both of you. Turn that side. Face your friends. Turn that side. Yeah. So the where they have mentioned number 4, right? That is your perichondrium part. In that part we can clearly see 2 layers. The outer layer is fibrous layer and the inner layer is cellular layer. Okay. If we come towards this side, the whole part is called central part. We can see the presence of cell nest. The 2, number 2 is the cell nest, and number 1 they are mentioning both lacunae along with the presence of chondrocytes. Okay. And the third one is interstitial matrix part. Here we have 3A and 3B. So this 3A is there, no? Here they are mentioning only about the which part? Lacunar capsule. Okay, fine. And this 3B is your interstitial matrix. Okay. So this is how we should write the diagram and name the parts. Any doubts? So here what you are seeing, no, this cell structure. This is your cellular layer of perichondrium. This part what you are seeing, no, the fibrous, that is the outer fibrous layer. Okay. So this is all about your structure, example or distribution along with the histology diagram of hyaline cartilage. Any doubts? Any doubts or any other points you guys want to discuss? No doubts? So what is the assignment question from this session? Differentiating cell. Write a note on differentiating cell as a 3-mark question. That's it. Okay. You should write only 3 or 4 points, more than enough. Very basic points. Any doubts? No? Okay. Then we will end the session. Okay. Thank you everyone.